evening. Would everybody please rise, remove your hats, as the senior members of the choir sing our national anthem. Please be seated.
Good evening. I'm Eric Renez. I proudly serve as superintendent for the DeForest Area School District. It is my privilege to welcome family, friends, and community members to the class of 2019 graduation ceremony. The school board, administration, and staff thank you for helping us celebrate this important achievement in the lives of these young women and men. I know that some of our families here this evening will be graduating their last child or maybe their only child, and for others, this is the first to leave the nest. As a parent myself, I know that no matter the situation, it is a proud and emotional moment. So graduates, be appreciative and patient with your families. On behalf of our entire school district, I would like to share our appreciation for our parents and guardians for entrusting us with the important work of supporting your child's learning. We know that their learning did not start and end when the school bells rang, so we thank our families for being great partners in education and helping instill the importance of learning. Graduates, whether at home or at school, I hope you picked up on the importance of learning and how much time, energy, and love that's been invested in each of you here tonight to instill that love of learning. I encourage you to take this investment that's been made in each of you over the past 13 years or so and continue to feed that fire for learning. You can do that in many ways, whether through more formal education, vocational training, or just being an engaged and active participant in your community and country. Please continue to learn about yourself, learn about all the wonderful difference of other people, and learn about how the world continues to change. I challenge you to keep learning so you're prepared to make decisions about the world you will be inheriting. You will be our future leaders and decision makers, so continue to learn and be informed so you can make the world a better place for you and the next generation to follow. I know all of you will be striving for that dream of the good life, but I want to challenge each of you to do more than strive for the good life. More important than the good life, I challenge you to do good throughout your life. That would be the greatest return for our investment in each of you. Do good throughout your life. Because class of 2019, I am confident your school, your families, and your community have invested really well in each of you. Again, I want to thank everyone here this evening for helping us celebrate these young women and men, and congratulations to the class of 2019.
Freshman year was the year of firsts. There were many little things about the transition to high school that made this building an exciting place. For the first time, we were allowed to carry our backpacks and cell phones with us, a glorious freedom that we would later dread the idea of losing. There was our first homecoming, when our class represented the board game Clue, which was a thing that us freshmen definitely didn't have. We encountered the seemingly terrifying semester final exams, where we stressed about being expected to memorize our entire textbooks front to back. Thankfully, we realized with relief that that wouldn't actually be the case, and we wouldn't end up drowning in all the assignments that were due after all. And in high school, the teachers started to treat us more like adults. They were sarcastic and joked around with us, but they were there for us in a way unlike ever before. Our teachers became our friends, and they did what they could to help us reach our full potential. High school had bigger changes in store for us, too. During the school day, we were no longer divided completely by class, and we experienced what it was like to combine together in the classroom with the ancient giants, aka the upperclassmen. Discovering who you are is a high school theme that applies to all of us, and freshman year marked the start of that identity formation. Through a multitude of new opportunities, there were dozens of clubs for us to explore, ranging from DECA and FFA to Spanish Club and GSA. There were so many things that we had the chance to take part of. Alongside the many clubs, there was a wider variety of sports in our spectrum, too. With varsity teams now in sight, we could set our goals high to grow. So in our futures, we could make the most out of our high school careers and know what it feels like to be part of a team when that team feels like a family. All of these things helped us realize our passions, make new friends, and, as impossible as it may have seemed, get excited about going to high school. With our education at DeForest, we will all take memories and lessons with us that we may never forget. Even though freshman year tends to hold a few more of those cringy memories we wish we could erase from our memories, there's one story we read freshman year that I would like to remind you guys all of today. In English 9, we read a story about two time travelers who went back in time to the dinosaur age, and one man stepped on a butterfly. One tiny little butterfly didn't seem like much of a big deal, but it ended up changing the entire path of the future when the two adventurers returned. I want you all to think about this. We are off to experience firsts again, and I want you to remember that no matter if you're going to college, straight to work, to travel, or you have some other plans in store, you are going to change the world. Every person you meet and opportunity that you take is going to impact somebody else's life and change the path of your own. So even though it might seem like one person from a small town like DeForest can't actually impact the entire planet, I want you all to remember that you have the power to do amazing things someday. Don't be afraid to chase after your dreams. Odds are, they aren't actually as impossible as they may seem. Of course, back then in English class, we were unaware of what our futures would hold. Our main focus was just to get through that second batch of finals and then have an amazing summer before sophomore year rolled around. If only we knew then what we know now.
As our second year began, we turned the pages to a brand new chapter in our lives. That's right. Much to the chagrin of our parents, sophomore year began for some of us with our first timid steps to getting our driver's license. Whether it took us 1, 2, 3, or 4 tries to finally earn our right to drive the family car alone, we all enjoyed that first taste of freedom that comes with turning up the car radio a bit too loud. Once we had our licenses, though, we no longer had to ride home on the bus to and from school, and we could save time by going straight home to do our homework, as I'm sure all of you did.
With that newfound freedom outside of school, however, came even bigger responsibilities inside the classroom. Sophomore year, many of us stepped up to the challenge of taking our very first AP class, AP US History, affectionately known as APUSH. To prepare for the class, we had homework to do over the summer. Many of us looked at the APUSH textbook, which was about as many pages as the number of times Mrs. Kolash had seen Hamilton, and felt overwhelmed. But we pressed on. By the time the May exam rolled around, we had learned over 500 years of history, listened to nearly every song on the Hamilton playlist, and were that much more confident that if we could survive APUSH, we could survive anything.
Our biggest challenge that year, however, was navigating high school life now that we were no longer the youngest, yet not quite upperclassmen. Homecoming rolled around, and the theme was holidays. We used our U.S. history knowledge to make this year's homecoming theme, the 4th of July, extra special. As sophomores, we truly upped our game with decorations, preparation, and performance from freshman year, when we had no idea what we were doing.
During sophomore year, many of our classmates became standouts at DeForest High School. Girls track finished 4th place in the Badger Conference, sending Sophie Mink to state for high jumping. In girls basketball, Aaliyah Grundle was selected as first team in the Badger Conference after helping the team place 2nd overall in the Badger North. Boys swimming also had a successful season. The team finished 4th overall in the Badger North. Boys swimming also had a successful season. The team finished 4th in the Badger North and 8th place at the WIAA Division II state meet, with Jacob Bergener finding success in the 200 medley and 200 freestyle relay teams. He also found success in cross country that year, finishing 1st as an individual in the Badger North Conference. Girls swimming finished 3rd in the Badger North, sending 5 swimmers to state, 2 of which were our very own Cameron Hargraves and Marnie Martin.
Drama Club put on 2 incredible productions featuring the members of the class of 2019. In Shakespeare's A Midsummer's Night Dream, Caitlin Buckta, Peyton Blau, Catherine Overman, Taylor Beowulf, and Jackie Hansen each broke a leg on stage, and Anna Arnold, Claire Lefebvre helped out with the backstage crew. Megan Mortimer, Harmony Kagi, and Anna Arnold added their talents in the crew of The Little Mermaid with Haley Swenson, Ashley Eisler, Peyton Blau, Bryn Freitag, and Jackie Hansen on stage, backed by the musical talents of Lizzie Horner, Jeremy Doty, and Jessica Parks. Our forensics team took 2nd place at the state tournament, with Cassidy Chanel taking 3rd in the state in Moments in History, and the team of Ashley Eisler and Emily Taher taking 5th in the state in group interpretation.
Much to our surprise, sophomore year had turned out to be an exciting chapter 2 in the book of high school, full of challenges and accomplishments. With half of high school complete, though, we were ready for more. Our car keys in hand and newfound confidence in our hearts, we prepared to face chapter 3, junior year, together.
Our junior year started, and we were finally upperclassmen. Every great leader was once a junior in high school and was once an upperclassman. Great leaders were once in the same position as you were. They had to face their junior year and discover the responsibilities that being a new leader meant, and how they had to grow as leaders, mentors, and individuals. It was during junior year that we had to face the same challenges and become leaders as they did. It doesn't matter if you were in drama club, FFA, the football team, or simply walking down the hallway, you became someone that the freshmen looked up to. Somehow, each and every one of us took upon the responsibilities that being a leader comes with and fulfilled them. There were a few major events during our junior year, the first being taking the ACT. The ACT is a daunting test that some of us stayed up far too late the night before studying for it, while others decided not to. When we received our score during our spring break, we had to accept the numbers that came to us in the mail. Many of us decided to retake. The ACT tested us on some skills that we might think are quite pointless, but in learning to do those lengthy math equations and the proper use of the semicolon, we also learned how to persist. We learned how to persist when we were not happy with our scores and how to turn a bad situation into a better one. Another, much more enjoyable event of junior year was prom. As underclassmen, we saw our friends get all glammed up in their prom attire, excited for the day that it would be our turn. After lots of planning and preparation, our day finally came. Our dance's theme was Golden Dreams, and Bryn Freitag and Matthew Camarado were crowned as prom royalty. As we danced the night away, we got to spend the night with our peers, having a great time and making many memories. Junior year is when everything becomes real. We were forced to start to look into the future and decide what might come next. Junior year is when we took the ACT and had it to look and become our reality. Junior year is when we had to make our future become whatever we wanted it to look like. We had to take the leadership skills that we learned and become adults to take the initiative to create the future that we wanted. With our newfound leadership skills, we had the tools to become exactly who we wanted to be. On March 14th, 2018, after the events in Parkland, Florida, DeForest Area High School had the opportunity to demonstrate leadership within our school. Leaders of our school took the opportunity to stand up for their beliefs and fight for their ideals. They demonstrated that they were ready to be leaders in the new world that we are about to enter into. This generation is ready to face the challenges that society has presented us. It is within these doors that we learned how to be leaders. Now it is our job to leave this school and put our skills into action. Like we demonstrated on March 14th, 2018, it is our job, Norskis, to be the leaders and to make the changes that we want. As our junior year closed, we were ready to be the leaders of our senior year and explore everything that being a senior had to offer.
After a long summer of anticipation, we were ready for our first last day of high school. As we traveled from class to class, we waited to see the faces of those who had graduated before us, but none were here. It finally hit us that we were the oldest. It was our turn to enjoy our last year. We started strong with our first sweet, sweet victory at homecoming. The theme was childhood TV shows, and the senior class chose SpongeBob. After our hard work put towards decorations, our float, and dance, our class won our first homecoming. In addition to our class victory, there was a victory on the field. Our football team beat Baraboo 42-7. The excitement continued at our last homecoming dance, where Austin Westra and Sophie Mink were crowned king and queen.
As the fall season came to a close, the chills of winter filled the air. We started to worry we wouldn't have a single snow day because December was barren of snow. But little did we know we would be lucky enough to have 5. We felt like we were college kids with a winter break that extended all the way into January. Unfortunately, we still had to take our finals before we entered our very last semester of high school.
Included in many of our lasts, we competed under the DeForest name for the very last time. A few honorable achievements throughout the year include Marnie Martin, Cameron Hargraves, Sam Newman, Jacob Bergner qualifying for state swimming. Cross country had Jacob Bergner and Alex Grabowski as state qualifiers. Track and field qualified Sophie Mink for the state meet. And for the first time in our high school career, the Palm Squad made it to state for their kick routine. Additionally, many seniors qualified in state for FBLA, Solo Ensemble, FFA, Forensics, and DECA. Also, DECA participated in internationals where Cole Byer, Gift Chujor, and Mason Hoffman were recognized as top 20 in the nation for their events. And for the first time since 2000, DeForest had a first place win from Audrey Williams. DeForest High School hosted the state forensics tournament and took sixth place in the state. At the Forensics State Festival, seniors Cassie Chanel and Emily Taher won gold medals for their 4th year in a row.
Buried within all of our last was a very important first. On April 2nd, many of us were included in the community's vote to pass the school referendum to better our school in the future. Although, a little nearer in the future was the excitement of the last quarter of senior year. As we watched the juniors try on their prom outfits, we tried on our graduation gowns and decorated our grad caps. With the end in sight, we posted our last #SVS, traveled to Devil's Lake with each other on senior skip day, attempted to find a parking lot in the teacher's lot one last time, and saw a glimpse of the future at Reality Day. May flew by, and these events brought us one step closer to the day that we have all been waiting for, today.
Today we stand here, side by side and cap by cap, together one last time before we brave the world in front of us. As a wise Michael Scott once said, sometimes I'll start a sentence and I don't even know where I'm going with it. I just hope I find it along the way. I think this office quote is a good representation of what life has in store. As we step into our futures, we may not know what always lies ahead. In fact, I guarantee that our sure-set plan will change. And perhaps that's scary or risky, but that risk might lead to a bigger reward you couldn't have planned if you had tried. Of course, the future will hold struggles, and you will get knocked down, but the best things in life are never easy. When it gets tough, you know you are more than able to pick yourself back up again because you are stronger than any of your mistakes or any of your fears. You are more than any test, label says you are.
As we walk out these gym doors in a few minutes, know that your worth is more than just what you've accomplished at DHS. We will continue to grow and learn as we explore the world in front of us. Please do not settle for mediocre. You are ever evolving, growing in knowledge, compassion, and understanding, and wherever you land, you have the power to make an impact on your community for the good.
So, class of 19, don't worry, it'll all be fine. Okay.
Does everyone have theirs? Yeah. Okay, so can we have all the graduates please stand up? And we're gonna try to fit everyone in this one last time. Yeah.
One last time.
Take a picture.
Okay. Are we doing it now too?
Yeah.
Okay, this is great.
Maybe two.
All right.
And now for something completely different. Good evening, and welcome to this graduation ceremony for the class of 2019. Before I get to my remarks, let me introduce the other members of the Board of Education who are here with me this evening. They are, or may be, in alphabetical order: Carrie Brunel, Brian Coker, Sue Esser, Linda Leonhardt, Gail Lovick, Jeff Miller, Steve Tempest, and Spencer Stotts. So I'm going to try something a little different this evening, and I would either blame or give credit to one of the ladies on the stage with me this evening who organized a story slam at the public library, which made me think about telling stories. So I'm going to start with a little story. Well, it's a long story. Well, a story. I'm going to start with a story, and then get a little bit more serious as things go on. So there's credit and blame everywhere. So one summer day, a long, long time ago, when I was about 10 years old, my little brother, a couple of boys from the neighborhood, a few girls from my class at school, and I were riding our bikes down the elm tree canopied streets of Oak Park, a suburb of Chicago. That summer day, we were on a quest, a search for candy products we had heard about from people who had been down south. This candy was legendary. We had to see and taste it for ourselves. Rumor had it that it could be gotten across Austin Boulevard in that sketchy, bad area of Chicago that bordered on our good suburban area, where there was a drugstore and sundry store with a huge candy selection that purportedly sold both moon pies and goo-goo clusters. Our little band of adventurers, with a few coins in our pocket and a sense of destiny in our hearts, set out to cross Austin Boulevard and venture where no kid from our neighborhood, as far as we knew, had ever gone before. Let me make a couple of scene-setting statements before we go any further. All of us kids were WASPs, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. There were a few Catholics and Jews in our school and a handful of Italians and one Greek family. But mostly we were white, Northern European, middle-class kids with little or no experience of diversity of any kind. Where we were going, where our quest was about to take us, was into a neighborhood that had other types of people. Some were people of color, And as we stood on our bikes waiting for the light to change so we could cross Austin Boulevard, I thought I saw some signs in Spanish. We rode our bikes across the street and into a little business area. Reports said the store we were looking for wasn't far from the stoplight, and it wasn't. On the sidewalk outside the store, there were some kids milling around. The boys wore jeans and what passed for white t-shirts. They looked scruffy and a bit dangerous to us who were dressed in pedal pushers or Bermuda shorts and blouses and polo shirts. This group of kids that was about our age and about the same number looked a little bit like us, except it had 3 African-American boys and a very pale red-haired girl who seemed to be the toughest of them all. This was their territory, and we were the intruders. Before approaching the store to make the buy, we huddled up and decided that a couple of us would go in and everybody else would stay outside and guard our bikes because we certainly couldn't trust those people. Since I was the instigator of the whole quest, I was sent in. I dragged my brother with me so I wouldn't have to explain to my mother why he was hurt or dead. You picked the negative outcome. And why I wasn't taking care of him because, after all, I was his big sister. We went into the store and immediately spotted all the moon pies and Goo Goo clusters we could ever have dreamed of. We made a quick purchase and went out the door with 2 large paper sacks of our loot. As we stepped out of the dark into the blazing sunlight, we sensed a tension in the 2 groups of kids on the sidewalk. There seemed to be a bit of a verbal pushing match going on, with our group getting mocked for their clothes and their bikes, as well as our mother's footwear of the "your mother wears army boots" variety. People were invading other people's space, and instead of coming to blows, a challenge was issued for a basketball shootout, us against them. This shootout was, of course, first and foremost about our honor. We feared, although it was not explicitly stated, that we were playing for the candy horde. The challenge was accepted. There was only one problem. The kid who owned the basketball lived 6 blocks away, and it would take him forever to go and get the ball and come back. The red-haired girl was getting verbally aggressive. Everyone's honor was getting involved. The boy who owned the basketball asked if he could borrow a bike so he could go and get the ball and come back quickly. Seemed an obvious solution. The boy who owned the basketball was not only from the wrong side of Austin Boulevard, he was an African American. Suddenly, all my friends, my gang, my posse, were looking at their feet, the sky, anywhere but where eye contact could be made. They certainly didn't want to loan their bikes. They certainly couldn't have been who was being addressed by this request. And I was struggling with what I had learned in Sunday school and from my extensive reading of literature. I struggled with not loaning the bike because I thought, you sort of have to trust people until they show you shouldn't, don't you? It wasn't supposed to matter what color people were or where they were from, was it? Hadn't I read something somewhere about everyone being created equal? But man, that was my favorite bike. Well, it was my only bike, actually, but it was my favorite color. But the kid had asked real politely. I took a deep breath and said to the boy, "You can borrow my bike." He smiled, hopped on, and rode off. My friends were all up in my face with, "You'll be sorry. You know you lost your bike, don't you? I'm not giving you a ride home, and your mom will be really mad you had your bike stolen, and you know you can't trust those people." And again with, "You'll be sorry." I hoped I wouldn't be sorry, but I was really, really, really nervous as I watched the horizon over which my bike had disappeared. It seemed like I waited for hours. But it was only 15 minutes when the boy and my bike returned. He had the basketball and a big bag of cookies his mother had sent along. "Mama said to tell you thanks for the loan of the bike," he said. "You're welcome," I replied. The cookies were shared around, and by the time they were all eaten, the need for a basketball shootout was no longer necessary. We were all just kids sitting around eating cookies on a summer afternoon. I was much relieved as we pedaled back home, relieved and educated a bit about our common humanity, about the need to trust sometimes without reason, and about the fact that people would sometimes surprise you with their goodness if you let them. And that's the end of my story. So where am I going from here? I can hear you thinking that. Well, I want to talk about diversity and inclusion, about social justice and racial equity. These are big topics for our nation, for our community, and for our schools, and they start with each one of us. A week ago Friday, I had the opportunity to attend a presentation at the high school sponsored by students about the history of the N-word. It was particularly moving because the speaker's family was part of the civil rights movement and only 4 generations removed from slavery. This presentation was part of a social justice and racial equity focus that some students wanted to share with the entire student body. This focus across the district is attempting to move towards greater inclusion of all students and towards valuing and honoring diversity. This is important work that was started generations ago and may take more generations to finish. So let's put this work that lies before your generation in historical context. 230 years ago in 1789, the first 10 amendments of the Constitution were ratified. The freedoms detailed in the Bill of Rights that we so take for granted weren't always guaranteed in the foundational document of the nation. Things change, times change. There is still work to be done to guarantee those rights for all citizens. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments were ratified 154, 151, and 150 years ago. Those amendments abolished slavery, granted citizenship to all born or naturalized in the United States, provided equal protection of the law, and granted the right to vote to men, regardless of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. I'm sure the abolitionists who worked since the 1830s to effect this change thought that their work was done. The law of the land had changed, but many hearts and minds still needed to change. 100 years ago, on June 10, 1919, Wisconsin became the first state to ratify the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, which gave women the right to vote. The right to vote certainly improved things for women, but a gender gap still exists. There certainly is work to be done. It's the 95th anniversary of the Indian Citizenship Act, which granted Native Americans U.S. citizenship. Seems amazing that they needed that, but it's the 65th anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education that said that racial segregation of children in public schools was unconstitutional. It's the 54th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which attempted to overcome the barriers at the state and local level that kept African Americans from exercising their right to vote guaranteed in the 15th Amendment. It's the 50th anniversary of the Summer of Love, the Stonewall riots, Woodstock, and on June 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong became the first man to walk on the moon. All these events helped broaden our perspective about love and acceptance and different political views and lifestyles and the planet. The view from space gave us pause and helped us realize we are all citizens of the world. What I hope to show with this brief and admittedly selective set of anniversary dates is a trend from exclusion towards inclusion. I hope you noted that while change is sometimes incremental, that the trend line is upward. In 1787, the Constitution enshrined the notion of the people having the right to govern themselves through the election of representatives. In 1787, the people we the people was talking about were white males of a certain age and with a certain amount of property. As the years rolled on, those who had the right to vote got larger, less exclusionary, more diverse. But it has taken more than 230 years. In 2026, the sesquibicentennial, as I call it, or the semi-quincentennial, as the U.S. Congress calls it, either way, it's the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. It will be upon us. That's in just 7 years. I, for one, think it's about time that inclusivity and diversity become the focus of community dialogues everywhere, that we do the hard work and the heavy lifting that is required to make the broadest interpretation of we the people possible by the 250th anniversary of the United States. Part of this work will be the class of 2019, and part of this work remains ours. Sometimes I think we are all guilty of the mindset that believes that things have always been this way and that things can't change, or if things can change, that it is such a slow process that whether or not I personally do or do not do something to address social injustice or to add a drop of kindness to the sea of meanness that we all seem to be swimming in lately, that it really doesn't matter. My response to that attitude is to remind you of the adage about the piece of straw and the camel's back, and to refer you to the idea of a tipping point. We all need to be the change we'd like to see in the world. My hope for the class of 2019 as you head out into the world is that the belief that you can make a difference sets you on the path to action, that you do not accept the status quo, that you risk trusting others in spite of what your friends might say, and that you take on the great work of making the words of the Constitution truly reflect social justice, racial equity, inclusivity, and the diversity that is our strength. How best to do this, I hear you ask? Well, let me end with this. In 1895, a few weeks before his death, 77-year-old Frederick Douglass, who was born a slave and became a social reformer, abolitionist, orator, writer, and statesman, was asked what advice he would give to a young black American. Agitate, agitate, agitate was his reply. Agitate is my advice to you too. Make a difference by being the change. Congratulations to the class of 2019. Go Norskies.
Having met the requirements established by the Board of Education, it is my honor to present the class of 2019 to our superintendent, Dr. Eric Runez, and to the Board of Education of the DeForest Area School District, represented this evening by Ms. Jan Berg for graduation. Graduates, as we prepare the stage, please come forward to accept your diplomas.
Don't let us pinch it.
Oh, I'll try not to.
I'm going to put this up there in case any of them forgot.
Yeah, I gotta keep this. Can we scoot this back though?
Yes. Caitlin Ethel Bukta. Ashley Rose Cass. Bryn Elizabeth Freitag. Travis Philip Nelson. Cassidy Amber Schnell. Sarah Ann Stouffer Lurch.
Mitchell Anthony K. Lara. Xavier Timothy Acola. Amelia Rosa Agasquet. Madeline Taylor Albers. Alisar Shadi Ahash Kadur. Dustin Elliott Anderson. Eleanor Giroux Anderson. Rachel Sue Anderson. Aniston Waymay Arnold. Colin Andrew Alt. Francesca Natalia Avila. Taylor Rebecca Bearwolf. Sierra Joyce Bakken. Elizabeth Ann Barsky. Cole Gibson Bayer. Bailey Ann Berg. Luke Thomas Bayer. Daniel Blackdeer. Alexandra Rose Blasky. Peyton Mikhail Blau. John James Bogan. Haley Jean Bovey. Gavin Andrew Bovray. Nicholas Charles Bartelheim. Jacob Christian Bergner. Matthew Stephen Camarado. Kelsey Grace Capstrand. Jacob James Chambers. Blipa Cecil Chang. Ashley Brianna Chesmore. Gift O'Barney Chujor.
Lauren Ann Clevenger. Michaela Ann Clark. Heidi Ella Kamp. Connor Ryan Corcoran. Alexa Lynn Crary. Emily Catherine Daly. Kayla Marie DeLapp. Joshua Aaron Deborah DiCioso. Sean Alexander Doherty. Zachary Thomas Dornick. Jeremy Cole Doty. Brendan Christopher Doucette. Elizabeth Pearl Drury. Jesse Reagan Dubois. Donovan Darius Papaya Dwight. Caitlin Clarice Durnan. Bailey Margaret Dye. Mesa Louise Ale. Lauren Rose Iselt. Is it not working? Ashley Margaret Eisler. Noah Shoshona Englander. Bryce William Erdman. Tristan J. Erickson. Gabrielle Kiera Erstad. Thomas Maximilian Esch. James Robert Fowler. Casey Douglas Faust. Michael Lee Faust. Marley Ray Felician. Brennan Michael Furry. Tell me when to stop. Jordan's wrong. Kathleen Joe Fisher. Jordan Flores.
Marie Fox. Jesse Rhiannon Franklin. Michael Antonio Gallo. Mackenzie Faith Gaston. Christian Taylor Gurman. Emily Lauren Gillum. Gina Artejmia Glasgow. Alexander James Grabowski. Travis Allen Graff. Allison Marie Green. Micah Love Green. Aaliyah Ann Grundle. Kelsey Joyce Hacker. Logan Mitchell Hackle. Jack Ryan Hagen. David Eugene Hanner. Jacqueline Aileen Hansen. Cameron May Hargraves. Joshua Daniel Hatch. Jana Jacqueline Haug. Ingrid Monson Heatman. Cheyenne Sierra Hemauer. Savannah Christine Heck. Samantha Emily Hine. Justin Robert Higgins. Tyler Davis Hill. Mason William Hoffman. James Allen Holte. Elizabeth Lynn Horner. Emily Louise Roan.
Zachary Owen Hughes. Dylan James Hunter. Kyle Anthony Jennings. Delaney Catherine Gillett. Avery Jacob Johnson. Dustin Ralph Joseph Jolliffe. Jacob Jean Jones. Keegan Nathaniel Jordan. Harmony Tanel Kagi. Christina Eleanor Calise. Natalie Renee Kemp. Christopher Michael Kennedy. Jacob Otto Curl. Ryan Patrick Killian. Jordan James Kind. Trayton Scott Kirchberg. Mikkel Anthony Xavier Claviter. Cassidy Renee Kleinert. Michaela Elizabeth Knetchis Chadwick. Trevor Jace Knutson. Alyssa Louise Cook. Courtney Joyce Kramer. Rebecca Joy Kunish. Shelby Ray Lafier. Tiffany Alexis LaGrange. Sarah Jeanette Langdon. James David Larkosh. Isabel Julia Larson. Jared Stephen Larson.
Cooper Ontario Lee. Claire Barbara Lefebvre. Talia Darlene Lerum. Trinity Carol Lerum. Alexander Brian Lippman. Jonas Lorenz. Cade Dale Ludeman. Tristan William Mack. Jaden Lee Magley. Marnie Mary Martin. Beck Anthony Meyer. Sarah Catherine McGovern. Harlan Clar McKay. Justin Carey McKay. Stephanie Elizabeth McKinney. Lane Mitchell Matala. Caitlin Marie Meidel. Avery Kayan Melter. Mesa Delina Meyer. Quincy Brant Midthen. Abby Ann Miller. Tanner James Miller. Joshua Stephen Menard. Sophia Nancy Mink. Rachel Lee Moore. Megan Marie Mortimer. Patrick Michael Mowbray. Samuel Scott Newman. Timothy Jaden Noltemeyer. Skylar Shea Olson. Sarah.
Sweetie Lou Pa. Jessica Catherine Parks. Joseph Elmer Paskey. Carson Kenneth Passner. Gabriel Evan Peart. Drew Donovan Pierce. Chloe May Fitzenreiter. Jacob Foley Purcell. Kylie Marie Ramirez. Taylon Deshawn Randall. Carter Stephen Ratzloff. Corey James Rawls. Noel Augustin Thumbelina Racoba. Dawson James Remus. Ryan Roberts Reynolds. Sierra Ray Rhodes. Madison Haley Rieger. Cami Nicole Reamer. Cody Michael Riggs. Destiny Danielle Robinson. Amber Rose Rohr. Tyler Ray Romaine. Kayla Marie Sawyer. Joseph Damian Scalisi. Joseph John Schaff. Jacob Douglas Scheel. Lindsay Marie Schnell. Olivia Rose Shoden.
Okay, we switch now. Oliver Ray Schrodel. Corinne Elizabeth Schultz. Ariana Elizabeth Schupner. Victoria Elizabeth Schwartz. Cole Michael Schwegler. Amaya Elizabeth Donier Scott. Taylor Madison Shaw. Zybian Maki Sherman. Marcel Robert Charette. Brooke Faith Sigerslid. Rachel Jean Syme. Madison Emily Elizabeth Sypek. Brent James Smith. Bryn Montana Smith. Trayvon Smith. John Richard Smazinski. Mason William Sensala. Laura Ashley Soul. Anthony Joseph Stabile. Autumn Lee Stevens. Colin Andrew Stern. Kira Marie Stone. Corey Nicholas Stewart. Jared Ryan Stutgen. Haley Ellen Swenson. Ryan Joseph Switsky.
Jada Renee Taylor. Kinley Kensington Taylor. Eric William Teeters. Mandy Marie Thor. Claudia Ruth Tisch. Nicole Marie Todd. Shane Michael Trustwell. Olivia Rose Ebersensig. Ruben James Vandehay. Tyler Tukes Vang. Samuel James Vernick. Lydia Ann Webster. Taylor Lynn Wentz. Austin Henry Westra. Kyla Ann Wyatruck. Samantha Elena Leah Wickus. Morgan Jane Weagle. Melanie Renee Wigman. Corey Dylan Wiggins. Riley Elizabeth Wiggins. Audrey Jane Williams. Chimera Venus Willoughby. Ryan Scott Winarski. Julia Marie Winters. Corey Ray Walters. Gabrielle Marie Wright. Kelvin Tu Zhang. Diana N. Zhang. Jacqueline Zaragoza.
Yep. Graduates, please rise. As we began the evening, we welcomed you all to the graduation ceremony of the class of 2019. Now, please join me in congratulating the most recent alumni of DeForest Area High School. Would everyone please? Go ahead. Everyone, please remain seated as the graduates exit.